basically, hey, can you do X, Y, Z? I'm going to do X, Y, Z for you. I'll put on the stage, you put on the fights, but you never really get a chance to sit with somebody and say, hey man, what's your story anyways? How did it start for you? So, welcome to Studio 88 today. My special guest, Justin Condie.
Thanks for having me,
Killer Condie. He's such a gentleman, a great guy. You have fought for me twice already. I've had the luxury of having you, and then fucking COVID hit, and now we're kind of everybody's sidelined right now, and except for you, you got a fight coming up in January.
Yeah, January 24th in Arkansas, Texas.
That's exciting.
Yeah, man, it's good to have a
and they can have crowds
goal.
now. They can have crowds now, I heard.
I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah, I think Texas is the first place in the States that's actually doing live events with a crowd.
Of course.
You need a crowd, bro.
Yeah.
You need the crowd. So how did it start for you? How did you get into martial arts? How was it? You were just saying prior for us starting, I don't know if the cameras caught it, but you were saying Corey Jackson.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for him,
I got into sport. I was, as an angry kid, man. Just needed to find an outlet to release some aggression and anger. And
why were you so angry?
I grew up, I was picked on a lot. I was bullied a lot as a kid growing up. I grew up with a single mom and a small town. And
where'd you grow up?
Mattawa, Ontario.
Where the hell's that?
Yeah, that's a good question, man. But basically on the border of the Quebec border near Ottawa, like between, where North Bay is? Mm-hmm. Between North Bay and Ottawa is where Mattawa is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, wow. Like small town.
Yeah. Up north for sure.
So you were bullied in school?
Yeah. I was always I come off as a very soft demeanor. I've always been this way. And I guess, bullies usually pick on the weaker looking one, right? I guess. And I've never been a troublemaker. So I just kind of, I don't know. Yeah, they were rough.
So they picked on you, and then you said, fuck it, I'm going to fight back. Everybody that I've talked to so far that kind of got into martial arts in general, have always been shit on.
Oh, there we go.
You're okay. Sometimes you might hear it.
Okay.
Click, but you're okay. Just keep going.
But yeah, no, I was just growing up, just typical stuff, kids were just mean to you, say things, beat you up or whatever. And I eventually, just growing up with that kind of anger, right? Like why, why me kind of thing. And eventually found martial arts. And
where was that?
Mattawa. Corey was actually teaching kickboxing. He had a gym set up in the upstairs of the arena.
Okay. What was the name of the gym?
Action School of Fitness and Arts.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
And how old were you then when you walked in there?
About 16 years old.
Oh, wow. So you've been doing this a long time.
Yeah, a little bit.
So you walked in, because you have an extensive Muay Thai career.
Yeah. He used with traditional kickboxing gym. We transitioned to Muay Thai maybe about 5 years in or so. We were, obviously we were fighting kickboxing scene in Cask. And we seen the Muay Thai scene kind of growing, exploding. And
it was Camtow at the time, probably, right?
Yeah. And even Cask was doing the K1 version and stuff like that. So, the knees and the clinch was very interesting to us. So we started dabbling in it and obviously started getting messed up. And we ended up starting to roll with Jay Davies and Jordan Graham. And they kind of started showing our team the way and, clinch. And
is that a Loyalist?
Yeah, Loyalist and Muay. Yeah.
Jordan Graham's savage.
Yeah, he's a very good guy.
Yeah. He's you train a lot with him?
Not so much lately, but back in the day, we used to make a lot of trips down to go train with them, and a lot of our guys have even fought Jordan. I think that's how we ended up meeting in general, right? Because Corey had fought him once. Another guy on my team, Jonah, had fought him. So we came across him a couple times and had exchanged words, and then eventually after, I think it was one of the provincials or national tournaments, Jay kind of invited us down to start training with them, and it kind of really helped build our technical game. And yeah.
And that was with Corey Jackson, right? You were doing all this stuff, and then you went to Big Country?
Yeah, I trained with Corey Jackson for close to 10 years. I accumulated close to 100 amateur fights. And then it came a time whenever I just needed a change in my life. I needed to change the scenery. I needed to do something new. So I took a leap. I moved down south. I wanted to eventually start training at Cal Samrid, is one of the gyms I had my mind on. And I got down, and things just didn't work out. The job I was working at the time.
What were you doing?
I was roofing at the time.
Mm-hmm. That's a tough job, eh? Were you doing that with James Clark?
I have roofed with him before. I haven't like worked for him specifically, but I have done a couple of jobs with him. But I've roofed I've probably put about a good 7 years in the roofing, man. It was a tough gig for sure. But I know it for me it always just it was a good way to make money. It was honest work, and yeah.
A lot of fighters, they come from that hardworking blue collar, hard trades jobs where they're like busting and grinding and then going to the gym training and So you made the move. So you were with Corey, then you moved down south and you went to was that
Big Country? I started like I said
with Joe Elliott.
Yeah.
And what'd you do? How long did you train there?
I've been there probably for about 6 years now in total. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've been down here for about 5 years.
Like you said, you're still there.
I still coach there Mondays and Wednesday night.
They got a lot of. They have a tough. One of the guys. I remember one time they came down to Windsor. I'm not sure if you were there at the time. I think it was when James Clark fought Tony, and one of your guys had a heart attack.
Do
you remember that?
I wasn't part of the team at that time. That was probably a little bit just before my time.
I can't remember the guy's name, but I remember we were backstage.
Mark Shear.
That's it.
Yeah, because I remember the story now. That he had a heart attack.
Like we were backstage. A fight. He fought. I can't remember who he fought, but he fought, and we went to the backstage where everybody cleans up and taking the gloves off, cutting everything off. Yeah. And then he had a heart attack. And we're like, what the fuck? How'd you have a heart attack? He goes, I think I'm having a heart attack. Like he told us.
He's a tough guy. He's a roofer too, actually.
That's crazy.
Yeah, he's a crazy guy.
That's the scary thing about the sport is people getting hurt.
Yeah, it's definitely unforgiving, man. Fighting, right? You can't play fighting. You can't fake getting punched in the head.
Mm-hmm. So you do full-time work as you're a trainer.
Yeah, I coach full-time now. I coach at Big Country and Cal Sabret Martial Arts.
Mm-hmm. Were you just kickboxing?
Muay Thai instructor. Like I said, I grew up doing kickboxing, but then I transitioned to Muay Thai. Just the elbows, the knees, the clinch. I like that excitement of Muay Thai more than kickboxing. Mm-hmm. I enjoy the fast pace, especially glory style kickboxing. But like I said, around 18, 19, I kind of dove into Muay Thai, and once we started kind of being around the loyalist guys and kind of being taught the ways. I said just Muay Thai, fell in love with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Woodrow James, I was talking to him tonight on the way in, and he said, he goes, Jamie, who you podcasting with tonight? I go, Condie. He goes, oh, make sure you tell him that his fight with Bobby Poulter was the most exciting fight he's ever reffed, and he's reffed over 200 fights. Mm-hmm. And he goes, that fight, and I remember that fight too. That was Ace Fighting Championships. And Poulter's a stud too.
He's a tough guy. He was a good test. I think it was his debut fight or his second fight at that time.
Yeah, young, fresh, strong.
Yeah,
I had a killer fight in Toronto.
Yeah. He's a stud, and it was a good fight, back and forth. He ended up he won by decision, but yeah, it was a good fight. It was one of the first ones I was really well prepared for as an amateur for amateur MMA. And
then you went pro after that.
Yeah, no. I fought that, and then I had a couple of Thai boxing fights after that, and I had 2 jiu-jitsu matches, just strictly ground games, and then basically the whole idea was, I knew I had good striking, I knew I could handle myself on the feet, but in the amateur scene, I'd seen that I had a lot of holes in my game, obviously with wrestling and jiu-jitsu. So that was kind of the big reason why I'd moved down, because there was no big outlets for me to train down there, and I needed to learn if I wanted to be successful in the sport. I had to make that move, because you only want to go in there and get put on the ground and punched in the head so many times, right? Yeah. And it's like I'm gonna do this right. So I moved down. I started training with those guys at Big Country, just within the Rebel Alliance, like Bruckman's Gym, all of them, and ended up 2 years, earned my blue belt through them, and just building my confidence on the ground, so that when I knew I walked in there, I could get all those positions. I knew what I was doing, and I could actually bring the fight in all aspects of the game, right? Not just showing up on the feet. I wanted to make sure that I could submit the guy as well. So
how'd you know this is the path you wanted to go?
Just always loved fighting, man. Something about it, I've always followed my heart, no matter what it's been. if I don't like it, and if it doesn't, resonate with me inside, I avoid it. And with this sport, it's always, like I said, I came from, like a bit of a rough background. So it was kind of, it built a lot of confidence within myself, right? So yeah, I use it as a tool for self-development. And I know, like I said, it's always resonated with me. I've always just had a good feeling about it. And so I've always followed it. Yeah.
Now, your last fight was with me.
Yep. Yeah, Prospect.
And that was, you fought
Joe
Potato Goose. What a fucking war of a fight that was.
Yeah.
That fight was a war. Like, both you guys, like, I would have hated to be a judge of that fight, to be honest.
Yeah, it was a close fight. There was a lot more I knew I could have did. I just, bad weight cut. Felt drained in that second round. He's a tough guy. He kept moving forward. And, there's a lot of areas in that fight I knew I could have finished it. Because watching the tape later on, it was like a lot of positions I was in. If I would have put the gas on, I know I could have did something. But like I said, just a really bad weight cut. And in that second round, I just remember taking a big deep breath up against the fence and just arms heavy. And I'm like, okay, let's grind this one out, man. Because I'm not going to give up. It's not in me to back down. So once I knew something was working and I knew I could grind them out, I just stick with it, get through this one, be more ready for the next.
Yeah, he showed a lot of resilience.
Yeah,
for sure. That was a great fight. So you took. I didn't have you for the March 8th show in Toronto.
No.
Unfortunately, you took some time off, but then COVID hit.
Yeah.
So really
kind of kicking myself in the butt for that one, man.
So you haven't fought since December of last year.
Yeah.
Is there any ring rust? How do you feel coming? You got to fight in January, so you basically have a year off.
Yeah. I've been consistent, man. Like, I've been in the gym, like, obviously not pushing myself as hard if you got a date. But I've been consistent, man. I definitely, I took a little bit of time off to relax, but I was always in and out of the gym. I never went a week with not showing up. So for me, it's just been like finding that motivation to get back in there. And Crew B was very instrumental to get me back on the grind, get pushing.
Justin Bruckman, he's been on the podcast twice, and he speaks very, very highly of Brandon.
Yeah, he's a solid guy.
Yeah.
And he basically told me, he's like, man, I want you in shape by September. So I started. I got back on the wheel, training, getting my body in shape.
Who's your main training partners?
Mostly, like James Clark at Big Country, Nick Cambasis.
He's fucking tough too.
Yeah, we with the Rebel Alliance, man, we got a good group of guys.
Do you know the story behind Rebel Alliance? How that name came?
Not really. Not really.
I think there was like rival gyms. They all hated one gym.
Yeah,
so they all worked together and said they formed Rebel Alliance. So
yeah,
Justin Bruckman explained it to me one time.
Yeah, it's something along the lines of that. Yeah, like they were kind of all in one room at one time, and they all said, "Oh yeah, you know this guy? He ripped you off. And
everyone had the same enemy in common, and then and there was like a Rebel Alliance. Like it was like
I've never really asked. I'm just happy to be part of the group.
So when's the training start for you for January fight?
I've already been at it. Like I've been consistent now for about 3 months. The last month I've been ramping it back up, like getting an actual camp in, training 6 days a week, getting the runs in. So I'm about 3 months in now. So it's basically now it's just get the weight down and get ready to go again.
How do you know Brad De Silva? How'd you meet him?
Brad De Silva, I met him through James because he was James Clark's manager.
Yeah, he pushed really hard for you to get on those cards. Yeah. And I love Brad, so it was kind of a shoe-in anyways. If he says, "Hey, I got somebody," it's pretty much a done deal anyways.
Yeah.
But he fucking really went to bat for you, like hard. He's like, "Hey, Condie." He was just kept Condie. Yeah. He's a pain in the ass, but he's good. He's a good pain in the ass.
Yeah, man.
He's a great manager to have, actually.
He is, man. He's a really good guy. Like, he definitely takes his job seriously. Like,
100% he does, bro.
Like the week of the fight, I remember he gave me a call one time. He's like, "Hey, man, like, do you need anything? Do you need me to call anyone for you?" And it's like, no, it's all good, man. Like, it's way good.
He's one of the better managers.
Yeah.
Because I deal with all of them, right? So it's it was easier. It's easier to deal with him because we had already had a friendship.
Yeah.
So I know him professionally with the MMAO stuff, but we've also developed a friendship.
Yeah.
But so dealing with him even on you was kind of weird because I was like, I'm talking to my friend about negotiating your contract. But he was like, even though we were friends, no matter what, he had your better interest the whole time. And it was like, and we're straight shooters. We're going to tell each other the truth of how it's going. This is what it is, man. This is what I can do. This is how, and he always went to bat for you. It was really cool. So I'm actually happy that he's managing you. It's a good thing.
Yeah, I trust him a lot, man.
Did you have managers before him?
No, he's the first one. And I was weary,
You should. Everybody should be.
I like to sit back
managers.
and watch people a bit and see who they are and how they act, and if their actions match their words. And he's been a solid guy, man.
Yeah, I wish a lot of guys in your area, even across the country, would sign with him because he's good at what he does.
Yeah.
No matter what, he's gonna put you first.
Yeah.
And he's not picky or choosy on who he has. Like he's not gonna, say a guy's not doing well.
Yeah.
He's not gonna put him on the sideline and go, he's gonna go, how do I get this guy better and get his stats up, and like he's always thinking 10 steps ahead for you guys. It's really important for fighters to have a good manager.
Yeah. Because
there's a lot of shitty ones out there, man.
Yeah. And even like with kind of the background I came up in, right? Like in Northern Ontario, not a lot of opportunities for us to fight. So
you speak French?
No. But not a lot of opportunities for us to fight. So as an amateur coming up, we were usually brought down to lose, right? So
now when you say brought down where?
Typically, like, Burlington, Toronto area.
Okay.
We fight down in Ottawa.
You fight in Quebec?
I personally have never fought in Quebec myself. No.
Just Ontario?
Yeah, just Ontario.
So all those 100 amateur fights were all in Ontario?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And that's between, like, kickboxing, Muay Thai, jiu-jitsu, amateur MMA, there's a mixture all in there. It's not just all like MMA or Muay Thai, right?
Yeah.
It's a mixture of amateur experience.
Yeah. Actually, that was why you didn't fight on the Toronto show, because you were planning on fighting in Thailand. Did you go to Thailand at the time?
COVID kind of threw that under the bus, right? Because the whole idea was, to go down there. I was supposed to take 2 months, a month down, just kind of chill, immerse myself in the culture. And
have you been before?
No, never have.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And it's kind of crazy because I've came close a couple times and always something comes up. Like I'd have the money and then say the car breaks down. You gotta, there goes your savings. It's like it's always something. And then now this time it's COVID. But the second the borders open up, I don't care when it is.
You're gone.
Yeah.
Well, don't go anywhere right away, man. Once everything opens back up, man, we're going hard on the paint.
Oh, yeah?
Shows. Yeah, 100%,
nice.
bro.
Yeah.
Don't run away yet. Go after. No,
yeah.
I'm just kidding.
We'll see, right?
Do what's best for you. But ultimately,
always.
like at the end of the day, it's like, I can't wait to get back at it.
Of course. Yeah. I know you guys
you had 100 amateur fights?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Like, okay. I had no idea.
And that's like I said, a mixture, boxing, kickboxing, Muay Thai, amateur MMA, jiu-jitsu, all mixed up in there. Wow. Yeah, like just amateur kickboxing alone, I have like at least 30, 40 fights.
See, that's why Cask is really good.
Yeah, they were awesome. Like,
Cask. A lot of guys that went through the Cask programs and you can fight every weekend, and sometimes like 2 or 3 times in a weekend.
The first year I fought for Cask, I went from. I can't remember how it worked, but I think there were 3 levels. It was like 1 to 5 fights, 5 to 10, and then there was open class.
Cask, everyone who's listening, is actually Waco now.
Yeah. So, and I had 10 amateur kickboxing fights within my first year of competing, and that was just my first year. So like it just goes to show like how good they were at putting on events and keeping us active as amateurs. And I think that's a big reason why you see like the amateur sports like Canada, when they go over to the worlds, like Russia, like you'll see those guys, they have like 200-300 amateur fights, against like some Canadians, best like 50, 60, 70. Like I feel like that's why a lot of the time when the amateur sports go against the world, like you see a big difference. And I think it's just in that alone.
Well, I had Muzamil on. I had Maz.
Oh yeah.
So he was in, we did a podcast, and this was actually like when the COVID stuff first happened, and it was when the gyms were reopening back up. So going into stage 2? Yeah, stage 2. So all the gyms were reopening, and they implemented the protocol and what the gym should follow and how they should do things.
Yeah.
And he said on the podcast, we got talking outside of that, and he said, I don't know if he said on the podcast or we were just talking in the room, but anyways, he said that the biggest difference between Canadian athletes and international athletes is the government is behind them, like the international athletes.
Mm-hmm.
So they're 10 steps ahead on everything that they do, which is, they get more fights, they get the government's behind them for the training. They're more technical. Can't even say the fucking word. They're more advanced in their technologies.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I was trying to. I can't say it together.
Yeah.
But and he said that's where Canada is falling behind because it's still relatively new for us.
Yeah.
But I mean to get into an amateur sport and have 50, 60, 70 kickboxing matches.
Yeah, because I think amateur kickboxing, I think it's only been legal in Canada for I think maybe 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of time missed out there for sure.
But we're catching up really, really quickly.
Yeah.
That's why I wish the amateur MMA stuff was still around. Like we could still keep putting them on and still giving guys that base.
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of guys that turn pro too soon.
Yeah.
Right. And it was like, because they wanted to get their feet wet. They were hungry,
Mm-hmm.
But in a sense, some guys, it was good for them to turn because it was like, you're definitely ready. Like a James Clark, for example, or like a Tony Laramie, for example, another example, and yourself. Like there's a lot of guys that as soon as they turn, it was a good timing.
Mm-hmm.
But there's other I've seen that jumped into it right away. And I was like, man, you weren't even winning as an amateur.
Mm-hmm.
Like at all, like, and there's a ton of things to work on, and now you just jumped into the professionals, and now you have a losing record as a pro.
Yeah,
like how serious do you really want to take it? What's your sacrifice for this? What are you giving up? And some guys, it's not a game.
No,
it's you have to be, you're either all in or you're not. You kind of can't half-ass it.
and that's why, like with fighting, I've always said like it's you can't fake like who you are when you're in there. Because when you're in that cage, it's like you're looking into someone's soul, like you're naked in front of everybody. Like you can't hide who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's no covering it up and like, like it's just, who you are is going to come out. And if you've been lying, everyone's going to know. And if you're, like, what do you do when you get punched in the head? Do you turn away or do you look forward? And you can't fake that stuff.
What was your toughest fight to date?
My toughest fight to date?
Mm.
I won't lie, it was probably my first pro fight with Justin.
Taverne?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a great fight too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a lot of obstacles I had to overcome for that fight. Like even just the preparation. I remember a month before the event, just going through for my license. They weren't going to give me my license right away because as an amateur, I only had one.
Oh, did you have to do a skills assessment?
No.
Okay.
Basically, how it worked was I had a ground games event set up prior already, and I was doing my paperwork and all this stuff for the event, and they gave me a call and they said, yeah, like we know you're a good kickboxer, we know you have a good Muay Thai record and all this stuff, but you have no ground game, right? Like we're not going to send you.
Okay, I remember now because
we're not going to send you in a professional stage MMA if you can't prove that you're competent on the ground, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I had this fight already lined up on the ground game, so I literally went into that ground game.
I remember now.
Fighting for my pro license, because if I lose or I look bad, they're not going to give me my license. So I went out there. I ended up choking the guy out and getting the win, and then getting the license and going into that fight. And just that whole process, man, walking out in front of the crowd, being there.
That was a big crowd in Windsor that time, man. The first Windsor event.
And fighting a hometown guy too, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nothing I'm not foreign to for sure. Because like I said, coming from a Northern Ontario town, I was always brought into the hometown to lose. Yeah. I typically always won. Because I was just tough guy, stubborn as old hell, ain't gonna back down. And so that fight with Justin was definitely tough. I got dropped in the second round, and there's probably a good 15 seconds I don't really remember because I just remember getting dropped and ending up in that crucifix position and him just hammering punches on the side of my head. But there's like a good 15 seconds where I'm moving, trying to get a leg, trying to get up, and just, like that's, like I say, you don't fake those things. Like that's your soul coming out right there. When things are tough and all that pressure's on you, what are you doing? And, just that's You know, you seen the ending of that fight, how it turned out. And I remember that fight, man, just coming to and him just smashing the side of my head. And just kind of like, it was weird. It was like my whole life flashed before my eyes because it was my pro debut. I moved from my hometown. I left everything I loved, everything I knew to get this opportunity. And I was in this opportunity and this guy is just raining punches on the side of my head. And, I remember just thinking like, man, like, is this how it's going to go? Like all these years of fighting, all these sacrifices you've made, all the obstacles I've overcome. And this is how you're going to go out, like for real. And I remember just taking a big deep breath and just saying no. And getting out of that position, getting on top, finishing the round kind of with him up against the cage, letting my vision come back because I just took probably 30, 40 punches to the head.
That's amazing that you would think that process. Like as you're getting hit and you're like, okay, shit. Like,
it all slowed down, man. It was weird. Like I said, it was weird. And everything just flashed before me, man. And I was just faced with a decision. And I was like, well, this is a normal position. People get caught in this and people lose, But for me,
do you accept it or do you say fuck it and let's do this? Like,
yeah, man. And like I said, I had that moment, and I'm like, even just little things like everyone back home, the ones who want to see you lose and the ones who want to see you win, like who are you gonna make happy tonight, right? And I just was like, nope, not tonight, man. Not at least not today. And so I got up, like I said, got up against the cage. The head was a little blurry from the punches, so kept the pressure on him to get to the end, to get to the break between the second and the third, let my head clear. And I remember coming out for that third round, just telling myself like, I have to knock this guy out or something. Like it's all or nothing.
Who cornered you for that fight?
Corey Jackson, my original coach, Joe Elliott, and James Clark.
Yeah, it's a great corner.
Yeah, man, good guys. My original coach, and then Joe Elliott's been a good guy. He gave me my first coaching gig when I moved down, and James has been a very good influence in helping me build up my ground game and being confident on the ground. Yeah.
I always wonder what somebody who makes a professional debut when they lose, what goes through their head. Like you get this like flash before your eyes, and then. Some guys may choose to just tap out and go, or just say, fuck it, just finish me. It is what it is. And they never look back, or do they go home and, does it fuck them up mentally to take that loss? Do you think if you lost, it would fuck you up kind of thing?
No.
Are you worried about the stats?
Not really. I'm not worried about the stats at all, man. Maybe when I was younger, I cared about wins and losses and stuff like that. But for me at this point in my life, man, it's about just, again, doing what I love. Putting on the line, like knowing like when the day comes that I got to like put my head down and die, I followed my heart and I did what I wanted to do. And I didn't, you never hear anyone talk about their cars or their house or their money when they're dying. It's about the things they wish they had more time to do. And it's usually those things that they hold in their heart. And for me, like the sport is something that I hold in my heart. It's changed me. It's made me a better person. It's definitely helped the trajectory of my life as far as becoming a positive one.
Yeah. Do you have a big family?
No, just I have a younger sister, my mom, and then I have my dad, stepdad, Mario.
Yeah. They fully support you with what you do?
Yeah, I've been very fortunate in that aspect. Like, I actually have a degree in electrical engineering. I went to college. I did what I'm supposed to do, go to school, get a diploma. But at that time, it just, nothing resonated with me. Something about that life just, like, yeah, the money would have been good, but I was like I said, I've always been a gut guy. And I just, my parents were just like, we want you to go, I had an in for Hydro One, all this stuff. My uncle is a white hat for Hydro One and basically was a shoo-in, right? And
you chose to punch people in the face.
Yeah, man. And my parents have been always kind of very supportive in that manner. They're like, as long as you're happy and healthy, we're happy for you.
Do they notice a difference in you with martial arts in your life?
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Like I said, I was a very angry teenager kid when I first got into the sport, right? Like I was very quick. If someone looked at me wrong, I just always had a chip on my shoulder, right? Because, I was...
What's your ethnicity, bro?
Oh, God. I don't know my biological father, so I don't know that half of me, but I know my mother's side, I have Native. I don't know what specifically. Scottish, and that's it.
Yeah, so you were made for fighting.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, you were meant to fight.
Yeah, man. And yeah, like I said, it's always resonated with me, man. I've always been a good guy, I follow the heart kind of guy, and it's never done me wrong. I feel like if you're honest with yourself and you're true to what you're giving your energy to, I feel like the world will take care of you, man.
What do you do outside of training and fighting? Because I mean, you're a coach. All you do is eat, sleep, breathe, and fighting. Is there something? Do you have a quirk that you do that's,
No, coming from up north, I definitely enjoy being out in nature. I like canoeing, kayaking, camping, being outside. Winter snowboarding, just immersing myself out in nature.
Do you do other sports?
No, like this is fighting is my gig, man. I played baseball growing up. I maybe played did a couple practices for football before I got kicked out of school or something like that, right? But no, fighting's always been my thing.
I just wanted to know, when you did the so you said you got your electrical engineering, or and you were gonna go get into work at Hydro One.
Yeah.
Ultimately, you were working towards that. What did that feel like when you decided, hey, I guess what was that mindset when you were transitioning to deciding, you know what, you're gonna go into fighting? And I don't want to say put it aside, because I guess you can always walk back into that, but to just be like, hey, that's done. What was that like?
I just I guess like any young man, you're faced with a decision, like you go left or you go right, and
no regrets. Basically.
Yeah, it's just what I want to do, and I knew if I was going to do it, I had to immerse myself in it. You can't be with fighting. You can't be here and there, So I just started working whatever jobs I could find just to pay the bills and be able to train and do what I want to do. And like I said, I'm very content with how life is, man. I feel like it's all kind of worked out. Like even in a certain sense of people always say, well, what are you going to do when you got to retire and stuff like that? Is this the path that you think is going to suit you best? I'm like, well, in my mind, I'm always going to be involved in martial arts.
So whether you're a trainer or own a gym later on down the road? Or...
Yeah, eventually. That's a whole other basket of responsibilities, right? And as a professional athlete, as someone who's competing in combat sports, you definitely have to have all your eggs in one basket. And for me, I definitely I'm focused on this right now. I coach and I do personal training to pay the bills. It's something I enjoy to do. I love passing down the knowledge and confidence and everything that martial arts has instilled into me down to the next generation. But my goals are, just to see how far I can take it with the time I have remaining. And then when it's time to hang up the gloves,
reassess.
Yeah.
So, okay, now what do I want to do?
Yeah. And like I said, for me, it's I'm always going to be part of a gym. I'm always going to be coaching people. So if I can turn my passion into a lifetime journey, that's really where my mind's been when I made that decision. Retire at 55 to sit at home and do what, right? Like I'm going to be in the gym training, training people, helping the next generation,
got to build the talent.
Yeah. Like
Kids.
this is what I want to do with my life. This is, yeah.
So has COVID affected the gym at all?
Well, yeah. In regards to, typical training, there's not, there's no sparring. There's, a lot of drilling with each other, pad work and stuff like that, unless a social circle or whatever.
You got secret training sessions?
Always, always, man. But as far as the businesses are concerned, everything is 100% by the book.
Yeah.
Everyone's on their bag. Everyone's got their station. It is what it is, but you know what? It's better than nothing. What do
you think about COVID, man? You think it's bullshit?
I don't think it's bullshit in the fact that no one has died. Like I definitely think it's something that, if you're immune compromised, you should be careful. If you have someone in your family who's immune compromised, you should take those concerns. But I think the backlash of mental health and people's businesses, people's livelihoods,
We just saw Parabellum close down.
Yeah. And you know what? Like even the World Health Organization has just come out and condemned these lockdowns and have literally said it's no worse than a bad flu season.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
you just don't know what to believe anymore.
Yeah.
You see so much bullshit online.
It's media driven, right? Mm-hmm. Like, and for me, like, especially with what's going on in the news, like everything is like a perfect argument on both sides. Mm-hmm. To me, if you're turning on the TV, it's because you want to argue with somebody. Because you know, like look out the window, man. Like the world's still spinning. Mm-hmm. Like turn off the TV, man. Like I don't think like we should turn off our lives because a couple people are dying. Mm-hmm. You know, it's nature.
I don't know.
You know, like things.
The thing is they play that guilt card.
Of course,
right? They can say, you know, I have a mom. She's older. You know, I would imagine I got her sick. You know, how many times we've canceled podcasts because one of us got a cold and we're like, fuck, let's just play it safe until we know, right? At the end of the day, we still respect that, but to watch people lose their businesses over, man, it's fucking heartbreaking.
And that's what I mean. Like if you're stay home, man. Like, because like I understand we tried and like there's other countries. Look at Sweden. You know, like they've completely flattened that curve. They're back to normal. Everything is. I don't know. Like I'm not a scientist. I'm not a doctor. I just pay attention to both sides and I don't know, man. Common sense. Like
because imagine if your gym closed down.
Yeah.
Like at Toronto BJJ, Burritos gym just closed down too. They shut them down and with no evidence. They're just saying basically no, you can't operate. But it's like, well, show us where that's you're doing all this contact tracing.
Yeah.
So show us where it's all being caught from.
Wait, the gym's closed? Like
Did they? Yeah, they had a bylaw enforcement came in and told Toronto BJJ that's it, you can't operate.
So is it shut down or they're just closed until further notice?
It's closed until further notice, but most people can't bounce back from that, man.
No,
it's literally
especially after this is
especially downtown Toronto.
Yeah, a second location or a second lockdown. It's
and
bullshit.
A second hit, like
yeah. What I'd like to see is where it's coming from. Is it from because people are back in school and then you're getting the cases in the schools? They still got international flights coming in out of Canada.
Well, even like they like. The numbers are rising. It's because they're testing everybody. There's more tests being done, and aren't like in this. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a scientist. But like as far as I know, these tests have been proven to give false positives. So like
Jesse Ronson had 2 false positives when he went to Abu Dhabi for Fight Island.
And like, are we gonna panic again? Like for me, it's. Like I said, it's for me a lot of it is just media driven, and I feel like it's not a problem. That we definitely have to take precautions and be safe, and stay away from people that are going to be compromised. But like I said, it's not worth people's well-beings to play with that anymore. Like Toronto suicide rates, look at how that skyrocketed over the last 6 months. Domestic violence is drug overdoses, and let's not even include the people that were ex-drug addicts or ex-addicts and
relapsing because now
you gotta stay busy, you gotta do things, especially with the gym, with what we do. A lot of people, they use martial arts as an outlet, and then now you're forced to sit at home with your thoughts. It's not good. I feel like there's like I said, there should be like some kind of responsibility there. Where it's like, if you're sick, stay home. If you're not, like, let's keep this moving. Like we can't halt this train forever. And like, at what cost? Like you said, we're looking at a second lockdown. Like, you're going to cripple this country and everyone in it. And then you're like, I don't know. And even like you're seeing it right now with like all that Serb thing. You can't even get people back to work.
No.
Everyone's been sitting on their butt for the last couple months, and now they're trying to call them back into work, and nope.
Like I think Serbs run out though, right?
You only get 4 months.
Okay, yeah. So you only get 4 months of it. So I mean, but now what if they do a second lockdown and shut everything down again? They're gonna have to do something.
Put the country further in the debt, man. Like
Bruckman said it too, man. He goes, I only have 1 bullet. If we shut down again, I'm done. I'll never be able to not be able to, like, he was emotional, man. Like and we were talking
It's your
off
life-
camera. Like
it's your
on
life
camera,
work.
he was super like, but when the cameras weren't rolling, he was like, man, like he's like, Jamie, I got one bullet to shoot. This is all I've ever worked for, and this is what I know. Like, what am I gonna do if? I mean, he's a survivor anyway. He's like, I'm sure, and hopefully it never ever goes that route where everyone has to just shut down and figure out something else to do or change. And I'm hoping that, you know, what's a pandemic last 18 to 24 months? You know, we just have to bunker down and weather the storm. But like, how long are they gonna push it? How long is it gonna keep going on? How do you fucking fix it? Then then they're gonna say we got a vaccine, and then everyone's like, we don't believe you with the vaccine. You know, it's like a double-edged sword. No matter which way you look at it, it's, you know, it's fucking depressing, bro.
It's wild times, man. I'm just like I try not to look at it anymore. I believe what I believe. I just stay positive. I wake up every day with a smile on my face and happy I'm still here and I get to do what I love, and that's all I can focus on, because you can only control what you can control, and that is our mindset, and that is what we are doing. Other than that, you're just going to drive yourself crazy. And
It's a good way to look at it.
It's one of those things, like, I think I've noticed that the people who are the most like concerned about it, like we're talking about social media, the people who are like, stay home, like, you know, really going hard on it, are the people who have the opportunity to be like that. So they got moved, work is at home, they're still getting paid, they work from home, life is just, they only go out to get grocery shopping, and they say, oh, I'll hang out with my friend once every 2 weeks. That's low risk lifestyle. And then the people who are kind of like screw this, like I don't even know if this is real, or the people who have to go to work every day, who work with their hands, who don't have that opportunity. They're like, so I can risk my health and not be supported to go do my job, but if I want to go see my friend, that's not allowed, or I can't go to the gym. Like, it's like you kind of see these people who are separated based on circumstance, and it's kind of crazy, you know.
It's a charade, man. Like, you walk into the restaurant with your mask on, but when you sit down, you can take it off. It's, you know, it's a lot of hokey pokey, man.
I don't think they know what to do. I think that's what it really comes down to. Is imagine being in a political position, and all of a sudden everyone turns to you and says, Condie, what the fuck do we do? The whole country is, the province, we'll say, leave it provincially, the whole province is relying on you to make the right decision here. And then you, Lynn said it, you can't please everybody.
No, there's always going to be someone who's going to be mad. Yeah.
For sure. So, I mean, I would hate to be in that position where you had to make that decision. But I think logically, and I think now that we're seeing the numbers and you see like how everything is turning out, you would think, okay, man, it was excessive.
Yeah. And but you know what? I think this all comes down to being able to take responsibility. And I don't think there's anything wrong with being overprotective in a sense. Like, I wasn't against a first lockdown. Like, yeah, sure. Like, if we got to lock things down and, you know, protect our people, by all means, yes. But 5-6 months down the road and people's businesses are closing and people are offing themselves, and it's like, man, like, where's the end game? And I think a lot of it is like no one wants to admit responsibility, so it's like a tiptoe.
Well, I mean, I've dealt with the government on a ton of issues.
Yeah.
In our sport, and nobody wants to take ownership on everything, and they pass the buck to the next guy, to the next guy, because nobody wants to pen their name to it. No one wants the accountability of what it is. Just own it. Come out, own it. Be like, you know what, we didn't know. And that's honesty. You got to respect honesty. You can't every single time, bro.
Yeah, like, don't lie to me. Like, don't
be straight.
Me, even just as a person with any other person, don't lie to me. I'm a man. I can sit here and respect honesty. But if you're gonna lie to me, then there's a different scenario there. And I feel like that's basically what's gone on with this. Is like, it's just no one wants to take ownership, so it's kind of like a hokey pokey kind of, what do we do? And you feel it, like, you know, like they open everything up and then
they close down strip joints.
Well,
but when you think of it, why? Why does a strip joint have to completely shut down as opposed to a restaurant that they just have reduced hours? Why is it any different?
Like, freaking, it has a bedtime.
But show us the books, right? Are people getting sick from strip clubs?
Yeah.
Is that what's happening? Is that why you did it?
But the thing is too, is most people have
gotta have evidence.
Lock themselves up, you know, and then we interact, like, like it's kind of, I know it's a little different, but like, if your kid has chicken pox, like usually, I don't know if it's the same nowadays, but like I remember when I was a kid,
I don't think they have chicken pox anymore.
Yeah, well, that's a good thing.
I think chicken pox is gone. I think
but they would like
chicken pox parties.
Yeah, so like you just get it and get it over with when you're a kid, right? Because I guess as you get older, it could cause more problems or something like that, right? So it's just like we have to like, I don't know, man. Like I said, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a scientist, but I know what we're doing is hurting individuals in this country, and it's not. I don't know. Like I know I'm getting tired of looking at it.
Yeah, I think everybody is. It weighs on me every day.
Yeah.
I've been fortunate enough to keep working. I still have my full-time gig. I'm still working. I'm still working the night shift. I'm still putting in 40 plus hours a week.
Yeah.
But the only difference now is, how long is this going to happen? Are we going to keep going? I wouldn't know what to do if I lost my job.
Yeah.
So I'm very grateful in that sense. But anyways, let's kind of jump off topic, sort of. So you're training for a January fight coming up.
Yeah.
What are you doing to train with all these restrictions? Are you think you're getting a good quality fight camp?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So nothing's changed on that, and you've been
like I'm doing my own things outside of the gym, and meeting with people and doing like proper training.
Mm-hmm. Do you got to get COVID tested here before you go for your fight in Texas?
I don't know all the details as far as that's concerned. I'm sure I'll learn more as the time gets closer, but I'm sure there will be something involved with that. I'm sure maybe even like a quarantine. We've already talked about that because we don't know, because we fly down there, quarantine for 14 days.
I think in Canada, when you come back, it's a mandatory 2 weeks.
Okay, yeah. I know that for sure. I knew when we come back, we'd have to quarantine for sure, which is kind of perfect because we'd be getting back and, just kind of chill out for the holidays, right?
Yeah, true enough, eh? January, it's cold. Can't do shit anyways.
How early are you going to go before the fight?
All depending on the scenario, right? Like if we need to.
What's the promotion you're fighting for?
I don't know the name.
I love it. He doesn't give a shit. He's just fucking. I don't care wherever. I don't know. I have a fight.
I gotta have a goal, man. You gotta have something to shoot for, and especially right now, in these times, it's good to have a focus on something other than the Wild West, right? Like it's. I
feel bad for all the guys not getting fights.
Yeah. There's a lot of them.
There's a lot of them. The whole province is shelved. There's a handful of guys that are fortunate enough that are getting the fights, getting the right fights, but it's like, everyone else is just doing nothing. I feel bad for them.
Yeah, but I think if anything, this is kind of weeding out a lot of people too, though. I think in a lot of senses, right? Because if you really want something, you won't take your eyes off it. Like you won't stop, especially like if you're like in this sport because you need this sport. Like you're never out of the gym. You're always working. You're always putting the time in. You're always focused on something. You always have a goal. And I feel like if this has deterred you away from that goal, like how bad do you want it, right? Like I don't. It really comes down to that, I think.
Do you have the mentality to fight whoever?
Yeah.
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 Because it was never hard to match you up.
Never really. Like
it was pretty easy to match you up. Actually, it was
like as an amateur, I came up like we'd fight anyone, anywhere, and I definitely had like a rough. Like I'd fight anyone. Like some fights went my way, some fights didn't go my way. But as an amateur, as a pro, it's been kind of good to have people in my corner that want to see me develop properly and not just throw me in there with some crazy stud right away, right? Like it's.
Brad's good for that.
Yeah, like I'll fight anybody standing up. Don't get me wrong, but I respect MMA. I understand that it's more than just striking. There's a well-rounded game that you have to have in order to be successful at the sport.
Yeah, you can't be a one-trick pony anymore.
And for me, it's just been building it up and getting the confidence to go for those big fights and know that when you're in those positions, you can handle yourself. And for me, it's like. It's all about that.
Is there anyone on the regional scene that you're competition-wise looking at going, fuck, I wonder what it would be like if I fought that guy? Or
there's always been like, there's a lot of studs on there that, like I said, I want to do what I can with the time I have left. And, DeFreitas has always been someone who's been on the radar. even as an amateur, the Zach Powell, he's a really good stud.
They're both amazing dudes.
Yeah,
man.
their fight was really good.
Yeah.
It was a good one to watch. You know, but yeah. So those two guys, yeah, and those are really the two top guys. I'd say in like the scene 155. Like I know Matt Special, he fights for BTC, but he's another stud too. There's a lot of good guys, man. 155 is pretty stacked, but I'd say like in my range, yeah, it'd be like those three guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I don't have a 155-pound champion yet.
No, yeah.
Yeah, so that's why I'm like, I start to look at, at the guys that are around and who's available. I mean, I got to start crowning these guys, man. I got to start making, separating the best from everybody else. And a lot of times what happens with the regional scene is a lot of guys don't like to fight each other. And they don't like to fight each other because they'll train together. And I mean, like you say, I'll fight this guy, but next, you become friends, and then you're training together next week, and then a lot of guys go from one gym to the next, and they all become friends. But I mean, I think for a guy to flourish in the sport, you have to ding off everybody regionally. I think that anyways.
And in reality, in my mind, with the way I look at it as a whole, you're in the sport because you want to be the best, right? Like bottom line. So what are you going to do if you meet these people at the top, right? Like in UFC, like, you got to fight them, right? Like it's just, you're 1 and 2. So someone's got to budge here, right? Like you got to get over that. Like fighting is fighting, man. It is what it is. It's a sport and it's a business at the same time. And if you're in the sport to be the best, sometimes you're going to have to fight someone. And I think you only owe it to that person to give them your best, right? Because like even in amateur scene, you'd see some guys come up in tournaments. One guy would be here, one guy would be there, and they'd meet in the final. And I've been in the room and heard some conversations between teammates, like, let's just go out there and point it out, and let's just have some fun. It's like you're cheating yourselves, man. Like you owe it to go out there and fight each other, because you don't want to wake up tomorrow and be like, oh, I got outpointed by that guy, but I could have, left head kicked that guy cross, knock him out. Just go, you owe it to each other to go out there and fight. So I feel like a lot of these things where people don't want to fight each other because they train together and stuff like that, like, get it out of the way. And if you're
a lot of guys, they're protecting their stats, man. And that's what it comes down to. I think a lot of guys they don't want to get the 0, right? They don't want to, or lose and have that dent in their record. Yeah. So they'll hesitate, and it's more feasible for a promotion, especially a regional promotion, to have local guys fight each other. And that's a lot of times it's not the case. I've been fortunate enough that there is enough local guys that they will fight each other. Yeah. At some point, sometimes they don't want to do that. And it makes it even harder because now you got to fly a guy in. Now you got to put his camp up. You got to put his cornerman up.
And sometimes it's coaches too, right? Like, because I coach, like I coach people as well. And like you want your fighters to have that mentality to fight anybody. Like you want them to be in there. You want them to be gamers. But it's like as a coach or as a manager, it's up to you to kind of protect that at the same time too, because we've all seen guys get tested too soon, and then they crumble and break, and then they're no good again. And you see some guys like the Laramie brothers, for example, like TJ. Like you see how Reno brought those guys up. It was the right fights at the right time, and look at where he.
Reno Balcastro's a fucking mastermind at that. Like he truly put everything into those guys, and all his guys. Yeah. He takes the right fights. He knows what's right for them. He knows when to take the hard ones. He knows when they need to be challenged.
That's the thing with a coach. You gotta there's that old Mike Customato. It's fire can cook your food. It can burn down your house. It's all in how you control that fire. And I feel like that's a really important thing in life to understand, especially with fighting. Is you can burn out before you even get going sometimes, right? And you got to make sure that, especially in fighting, like it's an unforgiving sport. We talked about earlier, like we're in a sport where Bruckman says it all the time, where your career can end at any given practice. So, you gotta, it's a tough sport. You gotta be willing to roll the punches.
Who wins in a fight, Roy Jones Jr. or Mike Tyson? Have to ask. I'm gonna ask everybody now that it comes on until this fight happens. Because
Tyson.
Yeah.
He's just, there's something about like that. He's an animal, man. He's bred for the sport, and it's crazy too because before he got back into shape, he was on the Joe Rogan podcast, and he was talking about like how that old version of him scared him and all this stuff, and you see it coming out again, and I don't know. I'm excited to watch it happen.
I watched a training video of him the other day, yesterday. Like, this guy, I trained him for an exhibition fight. He's training for a fucking fight.
Roy Jones was actually on Joe Rogan's podcast the other day.
I haven't listened
I
yet.
listened to it, and they said the same thing. There is nothing exhibition about Mike Tyson. Like I believe he had an exhibition.
I feel like
match.
the fight's not going to happen. I hate to put that out there, but
Yeah.
I don't
I
feel
hope
like it's
so.
going to happen. I feel like
It's already been
something's
pushed
gonna-
back once, though, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think they were supposed to fight September,
Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken. They're both my favorite boxers of all time.
But that's what Roy was saying though. He was like, they keep pushing it back because he said like, on that podcast, he's like, they're like, oh, 6 weeks. He's like, I can take him in 6 weeks. He's out of shape.
Yeah.
And then they push it back, and he's like, oh, they push it back again, and he's like, I'm still gonna take the fight, but that advantage he thought he would have
It's gone.
was gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck, I'm going to listen to it. I haven't listened
It's
to it
going to be if it does go down, it's going to be interesting. I think like it's literally like it's two ends of the spectrum going at it. You have a tight, compact, explosive fighter, Mike Tyson, and then you have a long range, move around, use your footwork, not get caught, don't get caught up in the storm, right? Just kind of keep your distance, pick them apart, and it's gonna be whoever is most prepared.
Yeah, where I say, when I think of it, I worry. I'm like, is Roy Jones Jr. going to get killed? It goes
Watching
through my
that
head, I'm
Mike
like-
Tyson pad
I'm like,
work, I think someone might die,
this-
man.
I feel like someone's going to die. I don't think it's a good idea. I almost feel like it's a bad idea. Like the exhibition's not going to be exhibition. There's no fucking way.
There's nothing
You
exhibition
can't. There's
about
no
Mike
fight.
Tyson.
It's a fight. It doesn't.
Like the guy had pet tigers, man. He's a wild man. Like and that's the thing about it. Like those are two real fighters. Like those are like they love to fight. They're bred to fight. That's all their identity is based around is fighting. And I'm just happy I get to kind of watch it in my lifetime, really, because
Who's your favorite fighter?
favorite fighter, MMA, like I'd say like all time, like probably it's a pretty typical Canadian thing to say, but
George
like
St.
George St. Pierre, but also like Jose Aldo.
Yeah.
I've always loved Jose Aldo, just his style, just a killer, man.
Yeah. That's exciting. Who is your favorite regional fighter?
Regional fighter.
Who do you like to watch?
Oh God, there's a couple good guys, man. Jesse Ronson's fun to watch. He's I like watching Jesse Ronson just because I remember him back in the cast days, like watching him as an amateur kickboxer. Jesse Ronson, Jesse Arnett's,
The Big Cat.
yeah. Who else?
Gonna pay homage. I just want to pay homage to our local guys.
Like obviously, like Mark Hominick, all those guys down there, Sam Stout, Chris Ordecki. Like I remember watching. Well, I can't remember what that organization was called.
IFL.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like I remember watching that back in the day, man, and just like
He looked like just a little boy.
Yeah.
But beating the fuck out of everybody.
Yeah. Like didn't they used to lie about his age so they can get him fights or something like that?
Yeah, I asked him that. And he was on the podcast, and we talked about that. I go, did they lie about your age? Or did we? I don't know if it was on the podcast or it was in the room after we were talking about it. And he said he was young, and they basically, like, I think he was 16 was his first pro fight, but they had to lie.
Huh.
But I mean, you look at him, and he looked like he was 12 when he was 16.
Yeah.
But then he just came in
smashing people,
and smoking
Yeah.
people. Yeah, he's so exciting.
Yeah, man. All those guys. Basically, like adrenaline, right? Like all those guys.
Do you ever come up this way to train?
I'd like to. I haven't, but I'd like to.
Yeah, you should check it out, man.
Yeah.
I think.
I guess it's just kind of making contact with the right people.
Yeah.
Right? Like I've never been the kind of type person to kind of like nudge somebody. Like if you invite me out, like I'll definitely show up. But I've never been the.
It's because that was another thing of not even knowing who you were as a person is because you
not from around
Yeah,
here.
you're east of Toronto, so it was like
Yeah.
anyone east of Toronto, it was like a whole new batch of fighters.
Yeah.
So I really didn't get to see the guys east of Toronto until Ace Fights.
Yeah.
When the Ace Fight things were happening, then you started to see all these other gyms from east of Toronto. You're like, oh, and then when Brad was doing the shows out in Lindsay,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then you're like, oh, this whole fucking province is filled with fighters, and everyone's pretty decent.
Well, that's the whole thing about being able to have the amateur circuit going, right? Because you're able to have all these different promotions running, and you're able to give these guys an opportunity to shine and put their work, on the stage.
The province definitely needs amateur sport. The country needs amateur sport back, badly.
Yeah.
Because how else are you going to develop guys? What's going to be you're coaching guys now? You're going to have to take fights outside of the province for MMA.
Yeah. But the Montreal Fight League, they were kind of I guess Quebec out of province, but like they were kind of doing some.
Yeah, I mean they're still operating, but
that was actually pretty cool. I don't know if you've seen that. They did that one event and it was on the reserve. And
did you go to that?
Oh yeah. We had a guy fight on the card. Drew Truex fought on the card. It was kind of funny. It almost gave me like the old high school vibe, right? Like you're meeting in a backyard. There's trees, a cage. Yeah, man. It was a cool thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maz's heart is in the right place.
Yeah.
Like,
He seems a good guy.
Yeah, he's
exchanged some words with him.
Yeah. I've talked to him here and there, and he's, he's got the right idea. He's definitely a good ambassador for the sport. He wants it to keep going, and the problem is he's just not putting him out enough. And I say that respectfully. I'm like do more, keep going. But I get there's a lot of obstacles too, right? I mean, you don't know what the government's saying and at the time, and you have to go through a lot of process. I would imagine clearing guys, making sure everything was safe. There's a lot of liability. Imagine one guy just at those fights gets COVID and dies or something, right?
Yeah.
Which, statistically is not really happening, but there's always the what if, right? But yeah, I'd like to see, like when we were running the MMAO stuff, we were fighting every weekend.
Yeah.
Like you go to Lindsay one weekend, and you go to Cambridge, and then you go to Windsor, then you go to Chatham, and then you go to Brantford, and then you go to Ottawa, and then you go to Napanee. Then we were literally like bang, 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 bang. There was so much opportunity for guys to get their feet wet.
Yeah.
And then we only slowed guys down because we implemented the 14-day suspension.
Yeah.
Otherwise, guys would be fighting every weekend.
Which is smart, and that's why amateur sport is important, right? Because you got to take care of the athletes. Because other than that, they're meeting in someone's basement or someone's gym, and
So I'd like to see more amateur sport back. Because it gives you something to pull from too, right? You can only use the local guys so much before they start getting springboard to UFC, to Bellator, to everyone gets scooped up. That's what happens, and that's our job, to get you to the next level. But what happens when you're gone? Gotta need somebody else. Someone's got to fill in. Then you got, like you said, you got to pass it down to guys.
Yeah.
If you have nobody to pass it down to with no outlet, then what? So if you have no amateur sport, it's the building blocks of the whole game.
Yeah.
You got to. I mean, you can do kickboxing, you can do boxing, you can go do jiu-jitsu tournaments, but putting it all together, this is a completely different ball game.
Yeah. Well, the amateur builds the pros, right? It's like going to school to find out if you can get the job. That's the way I've always looked at it. You got to find out if you can float, and then once you know you can float, well then take your boat to bigger waters.
Who's the next big star to your gym?
I'd say out of within the Rebel Alliance, definitely probably James Clark, man. That kid's on a tear. He's got the right mindset, and he's he went and did that Gamma World Championship. Controversial loss in the final, but again, it's what you do with the loss that defines you, and he's definitely put it in the right area. Definitely leaving no room for error, no room for judges. He's creating this style that's just going to just swallow people.
Yeah, he's definitely one of those all-in guys.
Yeah.
He's a good guy, man. I chatted with him just before he turned pro.
Yeah.
At the hotel in, I think it was Napanee.
Yeah.
It was Napanee or was his? It was his last amateur fight, anyways.
Yeah.
And I was speaking to him at the hotel about it, and he had a shit. He knew what he wanted, man. He knew where he was going. He knew, the path that he needed to take, and he was on that mission to go that route, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then he went TKO, and then I think he had some contract problems. They're not giving you enough fights, and you can't be active enough. That's the problem.
Yeah.
You need to be super active, and with guys turning pro, you need to get those 5-6 fights in a year. Mm-hmm. And it's hard to do that when regional shows are only doing like 3 or 4. You need more volume. You need more. That's why I like seeing other promotions putting them on. Good. Yeah. That's good. Okay. Yeah. Go. Yeah. Keep going. Keep fighting. Come back. Come back here and.
Because the more experience you get, the more the better fighter you're going to be. The more comfortable you're going to be when you're in there, right? So, and for me, that's everything. Like the second you're comfortable being in that room with that many people and having that pressure of someone trying to take your head off, like that's the goal, right? Is to be comfortable in the uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Be comfortable with the violence.
Yeah. For me anyways, I'm comfortable with the uncomfortable, but definitely like the first 2 pro fights, like I've never fought in front of a stage like that before. And like I said, it's a new step, right? Like you can have as many amateur fights as you want, but the second you're pro, that's your thing. And I definitely like the pressure is a bit, but
how different was it debuting with me as opposed to all those amateur fights?
This is your shot. Like these are the big leagues, right? Like I said, you've gone to school to find out if you can get this job, and I've put the time in, and like I said, it was just a lot more on the line, I guess. But luckily for me, once the fists start flying, you get punched, you kind of forget about all those things, and you just start fighting.
Yeah. Any shout outs to sponsors, man, before we wrap this shit up?
Yeah, man. Myo Armor Supplement Company, they've been pretty solid for myself and the team. They've been providing us all our supplements. Offer Performance, they've been, it's my dad's company. He's helped me since my amateur career, getting me to fights everywhere. Trying to think here. It's been a while since I kind of had to go through. It's actually my last fight. I was reading off my shorts.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. Most guys, I see a lot of guys do that. Everyone has to kind of have to. I see everyone do that.
A lot of support, man. But most car companies supports us. There's a couple company. I'm probably bad promotion right now, but there's a lot of guys.
You on the spot. Sorry, man.
Yeah, it's all good. But there's a lot of people out there who definitely help keep the train rolling and make it easier for me to do what I gotta do.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, my guest, Justin Condie. Thanks again, bro. I appreciate it.